It was 15 years ago. At the time, I was a college student at Purdue University, one of the well-known engineering school for not just American students, but international students. I was trying to study a program at the time, trying to specialize my field. Engineering is such a broad field, but I was confused what track to take. At the time, since I'm new to the country, I don't know how the system works, how the academia works in the United States versus my home country back in Hong Kong, China. Well, achievement and results mean everything. I come into an academic advisor. He is also an immigrant. His name is Jose, coming from South America in Argentina. He studied mechanical engineering at the time, was an assistant professor. Here I had a long conversation, and one thing the Professor Jose taught me is, it is not about who you are, but how you communicate with other people that matters. That matters where you're going to be at. You can be a specialized field in a particular engineering curriculum, or you can be someone who leads, takes charge, and educate people who do not know that field. Professor Jose really inspired me back in Purdue because I was confused at the time, and since then I have decided to embrace a culture from all walks of life. Fellow Toastmaster guest, what does this topic has to do with Toastmaster? Well, recently, this past Wednesday, I had the honor to give a inspirational speech at the Eastside Toastmaster Club. They are located at Shaker High Public Library, meet on Wednesday at 9 to 7 p.m. They have an average of 20 members active participating in the club, but also they have members from 5 different countries. 5 countries who don't speak English as their first language. Is it difficult for us to learn the language? Absolutely. But is it more difficult to learn the language, or more difficult when I approach to a certain individual based on a different cultural background? I believe this is an important subject that not just Toastmaster, but any organization, professional, for-profit, non-profit, need to be aware of. You have heard about diversity and inclusion a lot. Diversity is the circumstances. We're diverse here as an audience, as a crowd, as members in Toastmaster. But inclusion is a choice. Whether you choose to include people from different culture, or you accept or decline, that it is a choice that you make. And because this subject is so important here, and since I only have a limited amount of time today, I have asked District 10 to propose a TLI session coming up in December to talk about this subject more broadly. As Mark introduced me before, I have spoken at other district conferences on the subject of cultural intelligence. Anybody here heard about EQ, emotional intelligence? Many of you have. What's CQ? What is CI? There's actually a score system there. But today, I'm not going to dive into this subject. I want to talk a little bit more on communicate across cultural boundary. Because this is such an important subject, I took a class this past week. The author, her name is Tatiana Cavolo. She taught at IU, my rival school. Anybody know where I attended college? I just said it. Purdue. What's going on between Purdue and Indiana University? Just like Ohio State and Michigan. Now, yeah. But one thing when I talked to her, there's no rivalry in culture. We should all work together as human beings. Sheila has spent the last 20 minutes talking about sales. Here, I want to give you another level on cultural understanding, because when you are selling, even though I'm not a sales professional, who are you going to encounter? Your target client, people from different walks of life, different culture. You're not going to sell your product, your services, or yourself to the same cultural group. You're going to have to diverse. And if you don't understand the subject, this might be a good process, but you may not come across just step one, because establishing the record is so important. And today, in a limited amount of time, I'm going to give you 3 points, or 3E. How do you work with people? How do you communicate with folks from different cultures? I'm going to try to use a highlighter here that hopefully works. Don't spell it, it's great. It's actually a cultural biases, but better than copy. First, when you come across people with different culture, you need to embrace people from different culture. If you don't embrace them, how do you learn about them? Say, Olympia, you're coming from Greece, correct? I learned a little bit more about you since we talked last month, your family coming from Athens, different part of the world. There are cultural commonality. Anybody knew the Venn diagram, right? The two circles with the middle, when you have common. Establish a common ground. How do you establish that first? You first need to embrace it. Which goes into what Sheila just talked about, initiated contact record building. If you don't embrace, you cannot build any record. Which goes into the second E, engage. If you do not embrace, you cannot engage. Embrace first, but engage second. You have to engage the audience member or people from different culture. And how do you do that? Find that common ground. Find the thing that's interesting. I remember a good story I can share with you, learning how to use chopsticks, not with chopstick, but with pen. Anybody knew how to use chopsticks here? Okay. All right. I know, Danny, you have attempted it to listen to a podcast to learn Chinese. I applaud you for this. We can definitely talk more about it, but there's always ways to use tools, how to pick things up. This is how the right way to do it, even with a pen. We learn how to eat when we were 5, not with our finger, but with tools. Again, coming across the cultural understanding is important. You embrace, engage with an interesting topic, whether you're in sales or you're just doing networking and you want to meet different people. Last but not least is the most important. You need to have empathy. Empathy is not feeling sorry for people, but understand the challenge behind each culture. Some of us may not like to talk a lot. Some of us coming from a monochromatic culture where we look at things in a narrow-minded versus Toastmaster, which encourages us to broaden out. Again, having empathy means you need to understand the challenge and perhaps coming up with a solution, like Sheila talked about, down here in the sales circle, coming up with a solution. As an engineer, I believe in problem solving. Just the same way how we encounter and communicate people with different culture. So fellow Toastmaster, here are my 3 points. Since my time is up, I want to leave you with a parting word. It is important to communicate in cultural and also communicate people from all walks of life. But remember, fellow Toastmaster and guests, embrace, engage, have empathy, and go out there and communicate with confidence with people from different cultures. It's a